is 2023-0753, renewal operator's license bartender class D operator application for Nahum. Ms. Donna Morales. Is Mr. Morales here? Please come up. Good evening.
Good evening.
You may have a seat.
Thank you.
Mr. Morales, you've been called to the Public Safety Committee tonight as a reflection of something that has appeared on your record, and typically we need to ask you a few questions and offer us some explanation as to what those charges were and what type of rehabilitation you did. So, with that being said, I looked at your record, or I should say, looked at your record, and we see that there are 3 convictions on there. Could you give us some explanation specifically to the most recent?
Yeah, I was convicted for a third DUI.
Okay, so it's your third DUI?
That's the third one, yes.
Okay.
Well, it happened, it was almost 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2021, if I'm correct?
2020, actually.
2020. So your
yeah.
conviction was 2021?
February 6, 2020. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I did take the program at the UCC, and I have proof of the discharge. I have a case to me. I also took the driver safety plan. I also have proof of that.
What measures did you have to take? So you did a driver's safety plan?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also took the program at UCC.
What is that? I'm sorry.
It's well, it's basically you take. I had a counselor.
Okay.
So you take like classes, and then you go there 3 times a week.
Okay. And where are you planning on working, sir?
And the place where it used to be Senior Souls on 81st and Greenfield.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm unfamiliar with their new name, so I know where Senior Souls is. Okay, so you'll be bartending there. Is this your primary job?
No, I was working for when it was Senior Soul for 13 years, so now I'm gonna work for the new owners.
Okay. So you've had your bartender's license in past then, correct? Okay. All right. And currently, right now, what is the status of your driver's license?
Oh, I just got it back this week, actually.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
There we go. All right. I don't have any further questions. Do any of the other committee members have any questions?
Madam Chair,
Alderwoman Rankin.
my concern is with driving on the wrong side of the highway. At that time, was there an accident
No,
that was serious?
No.
There was no
Nobody
accident.
was hurt. I was just pulled over.
We just
Yeah.
lost track of which side to drive on?
Yeah.
I see. Okay, and then regarding the third offense, the OWI, I take it for granted that you have had all the rehabilitation that we require.
Yes.
Does that include the
I have proof of it.
ignition interlock?
I have it on my car right now because I just got my driver's license back, so
Okay,
it was.
so
I
that
have it
means
on
that
my.
you don't have to
I
have.
actually have proof of that with me.
Okay.
If you want to look at it, I don't know, but I have proof of.
That's an
It's been
important
stored in my car.
aspect
Yeah.
of it, very
Yeah.
definitely. Will your job be part-time or full-time?
Full time.
Full-time,
Yes.
okay. Those are the only questions I have.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Rankin. Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Morales, I just wanted to kind of go over the reasons that you're here. Obviously, you know. I applaud you for going through the treatments that you have. My biggest concern is obviously public safety. We're trusting you to serve alcohol to other people and be responsible. You seem to have met the requirements that you need to in order to show that you have competent rehabilitation. But this comes with a strong warning that if you are approved tonight, that you take this quite seriously. We want to know that you're being responsible so you can watch out for
I will
those
be
in that
responsible.
position. So that's really what I would like to stress. And if there's one further question, did you have to do probation or anything like that? I know the interlock was probably part of this.
I did for 1 year.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's all completed?
Yes.
You have no
yes.
supervision whatsoever?
Nothing.
Okay, all right. Like I said, that's just a strong, message to you that we don't hand these out to to usually multiple offenses. So I am gonna open it up for a motion. Does anybody would like to make a
Are
motion?
you allowed to drink on job?
And I would assume if you had the interlock, you cannot, because obviously your vehicle won't
I've
start.
been sober
You can't
for-
drive, I should say. You could still drink, but you can't get behind a vehicle, correct?
I've been sober for almost 3 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Motion to approve?
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, 2 and 3 yes. Thank you. This will go to committee floor now, and we will discuss it further there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next item we have is item 4902-023-0076, ordinance to amend special event permit regulations. I am most certain that all of our members of the committee have become quite familiar with why we're here and what this permit entails. And I'm gonna go with a broader stretch because a lot of it has been brought up for Candy Cane Lane, and the Snowback Manor as well. And Alderman Stefanski has worked with Attorney Decker and our legal department to put this permit together. So I want everybody to put some real, strong focus on why we're here tonight. And if there are any questions relative to Novak Manor, that is something that typically would go to our planning. So I would just like to render my support. I think that this permit has a broad reach for Candy Cane Lane, Novak Manor, and any others who want to come into the community and do charitable events. I think it's a positive thing personally. I voted yes in support of it last time. I will vote again yes tonight. And whatever happens for Novak Manor will then be in the Planning Commission's hands. But I think this is a really good design for the permit regulations. And I think if anybody has any questions, we can address that in a different forum. But that's my 2 cents. I'm gonna open it to the floor to any other alders.
Say anything, Alderman Sampson?
No.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Dan Broad. I'm the alderman that was going around your neighborhood the first week of November. I waited till after your program was over with. And I told everybody when I rang the doorbell, I said, this isn't scientific. I'm not writing your address down. I don't know what your name is, anything. Just tell me what you think about Novak Manor. And the first thing out of everybody's mouths was, they really like you guys. They really do. They think you're doing a great thing. They just don't like it in their neighborhood. And like I said, I wasn't writing anything down. I'd get back to my car and go, okay, Ford did this, Ford did that. Rough math, 80% don't like it in your neighborhood. So that means 20% do. Some said it should be in a commercial area. Again, a lot of them just not in a residential area. Some of the answers, our grandkids love it. Where do your grandkids live? Well, they live in Wauwatosa, they live in wherever. People that, the further you got away with the radius, the more they liked it. Again, 80%, rough math, don't like it. 2 families, ironically, and I could see Novak Manor from their front porch. They didn't even know what I was talking about, so I found that interesting. 3 thought it was satanic. They just didn't like Halloween. One person,
Order, please.
yes, please. One person took a different way to work every day during the show because they didn't want to see bloody babies. One person wanted to talk to me by phone because they didn't want like an electronic fingerprint where I could go back and say, oh, Bob here said this. Email, parking. Parking was a problem. One family, they have a lot of October birthdays and they can't have them at their house anymore because of the parking. And again, further away, the better, the more they liked it. And just like I said, I scratched out a lot of notes here. Again, I want to stress, they like the Novak family, but they don't like the activity in their neighborhood. And I think that's all I have. I'll think of 30 things. Oh, Madam Chair, am I allowed to ask? How many of you, seems though you all got to stand up in the council chambers, how many of you in this room live in that neighborhood? 2, 3.
I live less than a mile.
Okay. And like I said, you're kind of proving my point, or the neighborhood point, like, the further away you are, you know, the more you like it. You drop the kids off, we'll pick you up in an hour. And, oh, I know what I just thought of. I did hear the last meeting when you guys all grunted and groaned about the peeing in public and everything like that. People were commenting, peeing, smell of pot in cars, and someone saw someone looking in work truck windows. I know you can't control that, but I'm just telling you what I heard. Just totally unscientific, ringing doorbells on my own. This wasn't a city-sponsored event or anything. It's just me going out, not relying on Nextdoor.com and Facebook, and see what's really going on out there. So, I guess that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Oh, if I may,
Go ahead.
and if we approve this, or go with it, we can have Novak Manors anywhere in the city, subject to approval. We could have them on, I thought of a street right away, 1900 block of South 94th, dead end, ends at the railroad tracks. We could have one down there too, and I just think you should be working with our development department and finding a commercial spot that can accommodate the traffic, parking, and what have you. And now that's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman
You
Rowe.
bet.
I need to give kind of a rebuttal to that, because for those that are watching, we received an incredible amount of emails from neighbors, supporters alike. So to get a feel in this room for the 5 or 6 people that I saw that are direct neighbors speaks volumes, because you are directly impacted. And I think there's more support than there is saying that there's not, that I've received. But I didn't go knocking on doors in the neighborhood, so I only have your word, Alderman Rowe, as to what it was. I have to take this into consideration from those that actually reached out to me and us as a council to say where their support is. There's a lot of people who may not be a Halloween fan. There's some people who aren't Christmas fans, or any other holiday for that matter. This isn't really what that specifically is about. This is to streamline a permit, to put something together that in the event we want to keep our candy cane lane, because we've had it here forever, there's ample examples that they fit under this permit as well. So if we're saying no, we're saying no across the board. I don't want to see that happen personally. I invite, yeah, we could have a Novak Manor, we could have a candy cane lane on every block. We don't. I personally decorate my home and have Haunted Hill, GK Haunted Hill. I give out books and literacy events, and I make a huge deal about it. And I would love to be able to have weekend after weekend of that, because I know I'm doing something positive for the community. And I want to shed light on that. Not, parking. Yeah, parking can be an issue. How many hours are we looking at? And Alderman Stefanski, I'm going to ask you, because you have more research on this. How many hours is the Novak Manor operating within the month of October?
40.
40 hours.
Yep.
So we're looking at 40 hours out of an entire year that brings such positive things to the community versus the same challenges that we deal with on any city block that is having any event. And I'm going to keep going back to Candy Cane Lane, who I know has over 100,000 visitors, I believe. I'm sure that there's many people on those blocks that say, hey, we don't like the traffic. We don't like that we can't park in front of our house. We don't like that we can't access our driveway. I had that when we had St. Al's Festival at the church. We had parking issues. So I don't want to, beat a dead horse here on this, but I just really want our colleagues to take a look at this and what this means on a broad scale. And Alderman Rowe, I respect that you say we could have a Novak Manor in every block, but we don't as of now. But I would like that our community has that opportunity to continue to have a candy cane lane, possibly a tradition many years to come for Novak Manor, and maybe more charitable, events. I think it's a great thing. So that's all I have to say. Attorney Sterling.
I think real quick, just a point of clarification. There was some references to the Plan Commission, or this going through the Plan Commission.
Yeah.
That's not with the code or the ordinance amendment.
No, it wouldn't be?
No.
Okay.
How it would work is that because zoning is being impacted, and there would be a potential for a zoning amendment, or not an amendment, but an exception. It would need a class 2 notice to all the, I guess not all the neighbors, but in a certain area, and then there'd be a public hearing, just like we had a public hearing here for consideration. And so, not plan commission, but there is a review process to it.
Okay. And I guess where I was going with that is it's going to, those details that need to be worked out, things that I heard such as you need a porta pot or you need these other things, would that then be something that is considered, or once we look at this permit, if it is passed, it's just within the parameters as it's written?
I think it's generally gonna be, I mean, I have to defer to your reading of the entirety of the ordinance, but the biggest changes here are allowing zoning. And so parking, anything that you're discussing in general, unrelated to zoning, isn't gonna be impacted by most of these amendments from what I can tell. So the zoning issue is whether or not there can be actors and things occurring on a private residential property. And so that's what the request is, or the change essentially is to change or to have a portion of this special event permit allow for a limited scope, limited timeline zoning change to that area.
Okay, now I have a question that maybe you can answer. So for example, if I'm at another event and there's people dressed up in character for Christmas, and they're on their property and you are invited to come on your property to take photos and other things, would not having this permit prevent them from doing what they're doing? How would that impact them?
If there are, correct, if there are people on private property inviting others onto their property in a show or as actors or something along those lines, that is prohibited under the code in a residential area right now.
Okay, and I don't feel good about stealing Christmas from anyone, just so you know. That's a joke. So,
Madam Chair.
go ahead.
So, last meeting we received some binders. I read through all of those binders and and there, I don't even know how many emails were in there. It was full, like that thick. Full of people who live right by Novak Manor, live near it, live away from it, come visit it, in complete support of this or of everything that they do. And I totally am in agreement with, if we keep them from being able to do this, then Candy Cane Lane gets kept from doing this, because they're doing the same type of things according to what has been discussed. So, and I don't want to see that happen, so that's why I worked with the attorney, city attorney, to try to get this solved, and hopefully with this permit, we can get this going so they can start working on next year.
Thank you, Alderman Stefanski. Does any other?
You know, I'll be honest with you, I've never been to Novak, but the thing I have heard and seen is the fervor and the how people really feel about this in the neighborhood, and I've talked to some people about it, and if it is approved, I hope that the people who are organizing it will listen to what has been said in these meetings, so they understand the concerns that the city has had about that and act upon it. That's what's important, really.
Madam Chair, one more thing.
Are you finished?
I'm finished.
Go ahead.
And just, I have gone to Novak Manor. I've seen what they do out there, how they take security very seriously. They have things where people are protected from the road, so that they're not standing in line in the road. They're being kept in a safe area. There's people that are monitoring all the way around the house. So in my opinion, they do a very good job with the organization that they've got going on.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you good? Did you want to say anything? I'm going to give Alderwoman Ranky just a minute to get that going. Thank you, Alderman Stefanski, and all of you who shed some light to how you feel about this permit and this process. And Alderman Road, if you don't mind me asking.
Yes.
As you are the representative of FOR, how many complaints did you have or ever have, may I ask you, on this particular event?
Well, that's why I went out to look at it myself.
Okay.
And you saw him on Nextdoor.com, you saw him on Facebook. That's where I was getting my info from, and I said, no, I gotta go out and figure out what exactly is going on, and I did.
Okay. Because to date, I have...
Put a number on it, I don't know.
Okay, just curious.
And did I actually get one? No, I was reading social media like everybody in this room does.
Okay,
But that's when I decided to go out and
okay.
pound on doors.
Okay.
And I did get some an email from someone saying, and it was kind of addressed to the city, but it was to me as well. Well, they didn't stop at my house. Like I said, I was just randomly, going door to door, just going, okay,
Right.
I'll go here. They don't have a barking dog. I'll go to this one. It's just, that's how I did it. I didn't even have a pen or paper with me. But like I said, I'd write down all my notes when I got back to my car.
And I thank you for, representing your district as you are. I'm just curious because usually, like, the faces that are before me right now is how I can make my decisions. People who write me directly, speak with me directly. I haven't seen negativity about Novak Manor on social media. I just haven't. And I'll leave it at that. Alderwoman
And if I
Murphy,
may-
did you
oh,
want
I'm
to
sorry.
speak?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to applaud Alderman Roach. I think that's wonderful. That's what an alderman should be doing, going house to house to find out what the people really feel in this neighborhood, because they are heavily impacted with the traffic, with all what goes on. I was at the last meeting, and the last meeting, it was indicated that there were several unfavorable things that occurred at this location. Sadly, I don't know if that was addressed. However, I also want to applaud Alderman Stefanski for going to the city attorney and trying to hash out the rules that should be in place if this is passed. The permit itself calls for certain things to happen in the zoning. That makes for me a very positive thing, because we should have things in place, rules in place in the event this is passed. I wish that we had more time to look into it further, and I was happy that it will be going to another committee from what I understand. Is that true? Or
Is your question, just for clarity, is your question the ordinance amendment going to another committee, or when this application comes through?
the application?
So when these applications come through, the special event permit process is already in place. So this is an amendment to that. So currently what happens is there's an application, there's a fee, there's a permit review, it goes up to city departments, there's some conditions that those permits would have to meet. What's being added to the special event process is the ability for an applicant to have a temporary exemption or change or something to the zoning laws, which would require, if that isn't in place or the case, additional fees because we have to mail out all these notices, and there's going to be a public hearing on that matter then. And so ultimately there's a review process to it, just like there's a review process for special events already. It just adds another wrinkle or layer because zoning might be implicated now.
But now the community is being protected because we're having a hearing.
There has to be
We
by
never
law.
had
Yep.
that before, did we?
I don't believe, not because zoning wasn't implicated, there wasn't the need for
Right.
a hearing.
But now, when you come for your permit, you have to go through the hearing process. The neighbors, from what I understand, are all notified and will give their opinion as to if they,
They can give their opinion, yes.
yes, they
Yep.
can give their opinion as if they approve or disapprove of it. And I think that's important. That's a democratic process as far as I'm concerned. It sounds like it's a wonderful event. And it has been indicated it's only 40 hours, And from what I understand, is it Friday and Saturday or Saturday and Sunday?
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday for 1 month. And I liked what I saw as far as what the attorneys and Alderman Stefanski came up with. It's a compromise, but I think we should consider it. it has its drawbacks. I don't exactly know how those could be solved. As far as bathroom facilities, that wasn't mentioned at all. Entertainment wasn't mentioned at all in what they were proposing, from what I understand, and it has to be clarified as well. I applaud the people, basically, that came up with a new idea. However, as was indicated, this could happen all over our city. Do we want it happening all over our city? We have a chance, though, with a hearing to say yay or nay, and that's important to me. And so I probably would have to say that I am inclined to support it at this time.
Thank you, Alderwoman Ranky. Does anyone else have any?
One more thing.
Go ahead.
Just want to stress how at every event there are people that do things that are not appropriate. And the people at Novak Manor patrol around their area. And so around that area where they have things going on, and that's where it's expected for them to keep an eye on. If somebody goes down the neighborhood and does something else, that's not in their control. And we shouldn't be expecting them to control that. So I, again, am in favor of supporting this whole thing. So
Thank you, Alderman Stefanski. And I do want to circle back to Alderman Rhodes' comment about one of the neighbors saying there was a gentleman or someone peering in windows. In my mind's eye, anything that has a city street with vehicles or otherwise, crime is that of being opportunistic. I think if my block is filled with vehicles, they could do the same thing. So I'm not relating that directly to an event per se, but somebody who is doing illegal activity, and that's just something that can happen anywhere. So I just kind of wanted to circle back to that.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, please.
And I did say you have no control over that. I started out saying you have no control over any of those three things that I said.
Okay. All right.
Or that happened, rather, excuse me.
Okay. Anything further? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll do, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
4-1. Thank you. It will now go to Council Clark. I think that covers everything. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion? We are adjourned.